You see, within my OC's world, you've got mutants, you've got werewolves, you've got gods, and you've got humans. We're not here to discuss humans. Today, we're discussing the werewolves. In this world, werewolves either have the ability to know or to have no memory of how they are in the werewolf form. So, at times like, the full moon, either they'll remember everything that happened or they won't. This is Torris, a werewolf who has unfortunately lacking the ability to understand what goes on in his werewolf form. He knows that he is one. He just doesn't remember it. Torris comes from a small family just outside of Lego Woods. His mother being a doctor in psychology, and his father being a mechanical worker. He has quite a few bits of things that he could have learned from his family, though unfortunately he went his own way. He left his life of luxury to go live in the woods by himself. Well, that was the original plan at first, but while he was driving, he had accidentally gotten himself into a car accident, leading to him going straying into the woods. There, Torris was bitten by a werewolf and didn't know about what he had become. You would think Torris would be a normal human being afterwards, but he wasn't. Not anymore. Afterwards, he had some problems, but he had turned out to find himself in a very thankful situation where he had been able to find a house and a job for himself. But Torris didn't know that every full moon now, he would become a werewolf at night. Now, Torris only being 25, wasn't really expecting anything to change. Well, he thought he could just live some perfect little life after being bitten by what seemed to have been a wolf. Though, since he was a newly bitten werewolf, there was a code. A code that, kept him in a safe measure for now. But not for very long. You see, a werewolf hunter had caught in his eye one day while he was in the coffee shop where he worked. Torris was on edge that day. Something was wrong. Nobody knew it. But there was something definitely wrong with this worker. So who's to say anything? They just thought that maybe he was just stressed out from all the work. Everybody understood that. But this werewolf hunter knew something was off. This was definitely the work of a definite werewolf. This said werewolf hunter's name was Lycan, known for his kill count in werewolves, per se. It made him one of the top tiers. Though, he didn't seem to find himself wanting to attack this werewolf in specific. He figured as much that because of his behavior, he was a newer werewolf. A pup, per se. In their code, they're technically not supposed to attack a pup, especially when they could either become feral or tamed. Feral meaning that they have no pack and they kill for whatever. Tame meaning that they're in a pack and are easily being able to be controlled by the other werewolves. Werewolves can take pretty much any kind of wolf shape. Fortunately for Torris, since he is not one of the most strongest werewolves, his is a little weaker. Almost looks like he hasn't eaten in days, and his fur is a little shaggy. Though the one thing that does stay with every werewolf is how, most of the time, their werewolf form does not consist of proper feet, paws, or paws in general. More or less like most of their body has become the wolf, except for their hands and feet. They still look sort of human, with a bit of a distortion towards them. It's hard to look at, but still makes them look wolf enough to where people don't recognize that it's truly a werewolf. Most of the time, a werewolf will be considered to be a wolf to people who don't really know much about the supernatural. Though, since they are close enough to Mutant Town, you can kind of guess about how many people are exactly superstitious. and some who believe that they might just be mutations. Now, these werewolves aren't exactly known to be super dangerous, though of course, that's only in the gods' eyes. The gods believe that, well, as much as these creatures are still human, they aren't exactly meant to be super dangerous. They only are because, well, sometimes people just provoke them. Either way, most of the time you'll find it hardly ever that a werewolf will attack, unless if they're in a crowded area. And that's where werewolf hunters actually come into play. They are actually able to keep control of the werewolves, especially their population. Though, because Torris is a different case, they've always had their eyes on him, especially Lycan, the werewolf hunter, most known for his kills in werewolves. Fortunately for them, their most renowned werewolf hunter had accidentally caught feelings for this poor wolf. Soon enough, Lycan and Torris were living together. It might seem like a great idea at first, but then you realize, how would he be able to keep this new werewolf boyfriend a secret? Answer is, he doesn't. He has to tell them. Either way, they might accidentally kill him. Of course, with the set of eyes that they now have on Torris the werewolf, they find it actually quite redeemable, especially when now they can just put something, anything, on him to keep an eye on the other werewolves in town. Lycan doesn't like the idea, but he goes with it anyway, since, of course, these are the higher-ups, and, well, he has to do what he has to do. Lycan is around the same age as Torris, 24 or 25. His full identity has been disclosed, of course, since he is a werewolf hunter. Of course, these are only 2 of members of the crew. I will do a full explanation on Lycan later, but this was Torris's, and be ready for the others soon.